Today is really about why what used to work for you does not anymore for weight loss and how you can fix that. So, this is really, really, really common. And honestly, I hear this almost every single day, whether I'm talking to women in the DMs or I'm talking to them on the phone or my teammates are talking to them, teammates meaning staff, and or coaches are talking to our clients when they sign up with us. And basically, how this happens, right, is what used to work for weight loss just isn't anymore. So, what used to work are often things like doing restrictive diets, lowering your calories, just eating less, and like being able to see results from it. And it is really frustrating when those things don't work anymore because maybe they were things that have been successful through not only your 20s, but maybe your 30s, but now you're in your early 40s and you're like, nothing is working. Or maybe you're still in your 20s and 30s, but it's literally still nothing is budging. And this is really, really common, whether it was you were doing restrictive diets or you were doing diets that had simple, easy to follow rules, but just not practical to follow rules like ketogenic diets, um, Whole 30, low carb, Atkins, South Beach, 500 calories, a military diet, Tom Brady's diet, whatever it is, right? So if you have followed all those things and you've lost weight before and those things used to work, but maybe now you're trying these things and they're just not working for any which reason. And those reasons could be that they're not working because you are not able to stick with it. You're not able to stay consistent for long enough to see the end payout, the end result, or they're not working in the sense that you are doing all the things and your body is literally not responding. So it can go one of either way here. And I think just first identifying which of those actually pertains to you is key because it will inform what we can do about it in the future. So if you are somebody who is putting in every ounce of effort, you're tracking every calorie, you're weighing everything, you're doing the exercise, and you're really, really frustrated because nothing is actually moving on the scale or in your progress, then that is one direction that will go. Or if you are really frustrated because you are doing it, you're trying, but things keep getting in the way to affect how well you can actually stick to the protocols that used to work for you, then we can look at that from another lens as well. But essentially, this episode's really going to be for you if you just feel really stuck, if you feel like you want to make these changes, but your current knowledge is maybe at its ceiling, where you feel like everything that you know has been exhausted to this point, and so you're really not sure where to turn. This is also for you if you are exhausted of failing, if you're just tired of trying and failing and trying and failing over and over again, and it's exhausting. And not only that, but like kind of hopeless of like, if these things aren't working for me. And here's a narrative that typically surfaces, right? Is if you have done a lot of extreme or more extreme diets in the past, and maybe they didn't feel extreme to you. Maybe that was just what you considered was dieting. And I want you to know that a lot of the things that I listed are fairly extreme and fairly unsustainable. But when you do something that does take a lot of effort, a lot of willpower, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of prep, and it doesn't work when you've given it your all, it can kind of make you feel like, well, then what will? Because like if that required that much effort, like I don't have much more to give. How am I supposed to be successful in this? And the answer, which we'll explore today, is because that route as a whole is probably not the way that you need to go. And there's a lot of just false narratives that are perpetuated with those types of diets that we need to unlearn and unwind in order to truly be successful. And lastly, this could also be for you if you're just feeling really lost on where to start because you are constantly kind of being badgered by Instagram ads and ads online that are saying, you have this problem, you have that problem, it's your hormones, it's your gut, it's your this, it's your that. And ultimately, some of those things can absolutely play a role in your health and fitness journey, but the number of people that it does play a role for is much smaller than the internet wants you to think. And just remember that, at least as a business owner, one thing that I know is that when you're taught marketing, you are literally taught to point out problems that people don't even know that they have. And so if you find that you're getting these ideas planted in your head from all these ads you're watching on Instagram, you probably don't have those problems. You probably don't. And so ultimately, it's really important for you to look inward at this problem, and we'll be able to troubleshoot that together here on this episode. So basically, let's break down, why did the stuff that used to work at that point in time, and why is it not anymore? So there were kind of two avenues, right? So the first one is you are actually doing everything by the book, you are following it to a T, and your body is not responding. And so this takes us down the rabbit hole of, why is my body not responding to these pretty extreme, drastic measures of lots of exercise? Maybe you're doing Beachbody programs. I know when I was in this cycle myself, back in 2012, 2013, over a decade ago at this point, wow, I would do the Insanity and P90X DVDs, and those were my jam. I hated them, but I loved them. And those were what, quote unquote, worked for me at the time. However, it wasn't truly what I needed, but I learned that later. And so I'll share that with you today. So maybe you're doing all the Beachbody programs, and maybe you are doing all the dieting things that you know that you should do, like maybe reducing carbs, reducing sugar, reducing processed foods, no longer drinking soda, not eating fast food. You know what? In fact, most of the women that I talk to on discovery calls, on the phone, on DMs, like, most of you guys are already doing all that stuff. Like, you're already eating quote unquote healthy. You're already not eating fast food, not eating out a lot. Like, it's just not a part of your lifestyle, which first and foremost should be celebrated, and those efforts should be celebrated. But the fact is that when you're not seeing results, it's very common that like doctors or people in your life will just say like, oh, just eat less. And you're like, dude, I am. That's what gives, right? And it's kind of like you don't feel seen or heard. So I want to acknowledge the fact that a lot of the women that I talk to are already doing all those things, and then trying to implement maybe a couple more rules on top of that, like fasting windows or specific calorie targets on top of that, because that alone, eating healthy, wasn't working, and still not seeing any sort of results. And so this points me to the direction of, it's possible that with a history of dieting, your metabolism could be adapted. And this is not something to freak out about or get super negative about. You're not stuck. There is a really, really clear path out of this. But when you have restricted calories, eaten low calorie, removed food groups, and done diets to lose weight a bunch in the past, and they've been successful, and your body stops responding, it could be because your actual metabolic rate has adapted downwards from all of the dieting attempts of the past, especially if you have lost the weight and then gained some or all of it back or more back and had to lose weight over and over again. This is really, really common, that your metabolism is actually at its lowest point when you're typically at your heaviest, because each time you lose weight and regain it, you're down regulating your metabolism without the appropriate time to repair it. And basically, you are just more and more prone to gaining weight rather than losing it. And so the way out of this route, again, this is just route number one, when you're sticking to it, you're being consistent, and your body's not responding, is to repair your metabolism, to really help your metabolism adapt upwards. So your metabolism is dynamic and it adapts in both directions. And I have an entire masterclass on this. So I'm going to go really surface level on this, because that masterclass is free and it goes super in depth on the exact how to do that. But basically, you're walking your calories up first before you pull them down again, and creating a foundation of relationship with food and a diet that is truly nourishing for your body rather than restrictive. And for a lot of women, this looks like eating anywhere from 17, 18, 1900 calories, 2000 up to 2500, sometimes even more calories per day, and maintaining your weight in the process, not gaining, not just eating willy-nilly, and not attempting to lose weight for a little while before going into a deficit again. Because if you build that foundation and you build your metabolism up, then you're going to actually have a very, very easy time in fat loss without what feels like all this sacrifice for what feels like very little results. But it does take a process of actually kind of pausing, slowing down before we speed up. But that is one way out. But another way is when you're not necessarily perfect. You're not necessarily, and this is honestly more common, is women come and tell me what used to work for weight loss doesn't work anymore, and I don't know what to do. And I really dig into the issue with them in a way that doesn't make them feel judged and allows them to actually open up about what's going on. And usually once we get down to the root of it, then it's I feel like I'm not being truly consistent because the stuff that I used to do, like, it's just not practical anymore. Like, I can't do hours and hours of beach body or treadmill workouts. I can't, I'm too tired to do all these hit cardio circuits that I see on Instagram. I'm not 22 anymore. And I don't have the mental bandwidth, the fortitude, nor the preparation time or energy to eat keto, 500 calories a day, stick to this stupid eating window or whatever. And these are all just things that I'm literally trying to quote verbatim because I hear them all the time. And so it's true that when you get older, you have more life responsibilities. You have kids, you have a full-time career, you have other people that you're attending to, usually some sort of significant other, right? Pets, and just life responsibilities, or fun ones like social responsibilities. Either or, you're not going to have the mental ability that you maybe did in college when, like, you had 4 hours to go to the gym and you could eat whatever you wanted in your 4-person apartment complex kitchen or something, right? So just something to think about there. It's different, and different's not bad. It's just different, and really creating a healthy lifestyle that feels automatic and feels feasible is going to be what's key for you. And so it's not quite as simple as just eat healthier. It's actually building in, like, what are the barriers to entry that you have in your life that prevent you from doing that? Is it a lack of knowledge, knowing exactly what to shop for and how to prepare it in ways that are convenient and easy for you that don't take you all Sunday afternoon? Or is it actually knowing what you enjoy and what you don't? And that takes a little bit of trial and error, figuring out the lean protein sources, the fruits and vegetables, the starchy carbohydrates, the healthy fats that you actually want to have as a regular staple in your diet. Takes trial and error. There's no way around that. But how do you do that in a way that doesn't waste a ton of food and also allows you to do it in a simple, fashionable, reasonable way without, prepping like 80 things on a Sunday, right? Or is it just the consistency? Is it the aspect of I get stressed and I eat, I get emotional and I eat, I overeat when I go to social events, and I don't know how to handle those and stop when I'm full and manage my portions and order appropriately in those situations. And those are all real barriers that we face as we get into this thing called real life, right? And there's no reason to be ashamed of it because we are not taught this stuff. Like, and I tell the people this all the time, like, stop acting like you should know this. Like, stop acting down on yourself because you think you should know this. No one teaches this. So let's just be a student of the game and learn this stuff once and for all. And that's where the education piece really comes in. So if, the stuff that you used to do just isn't practical, isn't feasible, and you need something that's actually realistic, then that is where education really comes in, and just feeling out what does that lifestyle actually look like for you in your day to day. And it's easier said than done, right? And the lifestyle is very, very simple. Eat whole, nutrient-dense fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, starches, healthy fats in a balanced way throughout the day. When you go out to eat, employ moderation. But what does that really mean, right? Learn how to not cope with stress with food as a coping mechanism. Simple, not easy. Move regularly throughout the day. Go on walks, go outside, exercise regularly. Simple, not easy. because everyone's life is different. Everyone's life is dynamic. And that's where people get into trouble trying to follow cookie cutter things that aren't truly catered to them. And then they just feel stuck, broken, like they're the problem, when really it's the fact that everything in this freaking industry is so cookie cutter that it almost sets you up for failure. So anyways, that is really the fix in two directions. So it could be the fact that you actually do need some guidance with metabolic restoration, metabolic acceleration, I like to call it, and just revamping your metabolism upwards rather than downwards. And some of that other could actually still apply to you if you're kind of in a mix between the two categories. Like it can really be somewhere in the middle as well. And honestly, the middle is where a lot of our clients fall because they do have this history of yo-yo dieting. They do have a downregulated metabolism, but they also just don't have that realistic grasp on like what just does a simple, healthy lifestyle look like for them. And so we're kind of doing both. We're kind of revamping the metabolism and rebuilding the foundations of their lifestyle kind of at the same time. So if both apply to you too, that's okay. And so really just focusing on habits and your lifestyle rather than these fast, quick fixes. And just use this mantra that I don't really know where it came from, but it's a quote. It's pretty common in this industry. But basically, if you can't see yourself doing it for a decade, don't even bother doing it for a day. So if you're thinking about employing different kinds of rules or strategies or tactics or restrictions on yourself and your diet, just ask yourself, like, will I want to do this every single day in 10 years? And can I do this for the next decade of my life? And if the answer is no, I would just, it's not that you can't temporarily, but it's just the fact that you should question the sustainability of it and go in with your eyes wide open if you still are to use that tool. But if it is something that you're like, absolutely not, that would just be a short play, then maybe just don't do it in the first place and find a way to do it in a way that's truly sustainable. And really just redefine what healthy means to you and really think about what kinds of meanings you assign to food, to health behaviors. A lot of times when we peel this stuff back, we realize we don't have a great relationship with a lot of these things, like eating healthy foods, like cleaning our plates, like how we deal with our stress with food, like how we actually relate to food is a lot of times really screwed up, especially in the millennial generation. Like it's not great. And so just questioning that, questioning the diet culture that we grew up in and redefining what healthy looks like for us can help us to rebuild those sustainable foundations in a really wise way. And lastly, to no surprise, I will say, find sustainable guidance. Find people in your corner that can actually hold you to this stuff, that can support you, that can talk you off the ledge when all you want is a quick fix, and that can keep you supported and going in this journey. And that's why I created the company that I have, Permanent Change Coaching, to be that guidance for you and really just be that hand holding you every step of the way and really just guiding you along. Because this stuff is, listen, it's simple, but that doesn't make it easy. And it doesn't mean that we don't overcomplicate it. And I will be the first to say that I like to overcomplicate things. And so it's really common that even if we kind of know what we should be doing, we're not doing it. And a lot of times we get in our own way, or we aren't able to break down the barriers as well as somebody who has experience in the trenches working with hundreds of clients doing so. So that's why I've hired the best coaches in the industry to be a part of my team and to move forward this mission of sustainable health and fitness and figure out what's actually going to work for you long term rather than just what you did in the past. So as always, if you're interested in learning more about what we do, how we do it, and how it might work for you, and truly tailoring a service to your life and knowing you rather than just giving you some cookie cutter thing, go ahead and if in the description of this episode, I'll start putting the button where you can inquire to learn about coaching with us, and you can book a call, fill out an application form, and we can talk from there. But that's really it. So that's why what used to work isn't anymore, and two directions you could go to fix it. So if you found this helpful, let me know. I'm looking forward to any feedback that you guys have, because that gives me more ideas to do more episodes in the future. And I will look forward to seeing you guys back here next week. Thanks for listening.